number 4, Brexit and Security Implications. Moderated by me. Speakers are Patricia from this university and Marga Lotic from the Institute of International Relations in Prague. I am very happy to see that for the first time during these 3 days we don't have an all-male panel. We have to say we tried really hard. All of you know I'm not a feminist. We tried very hard not to have all-male panels, but unfortunately there wasn't enough female speakers. Looking at the room today, I'm sure that in 5 or 10 years' time we will only have all female panels because we actually have women in the audience. So that's great news. So the way we're going to go about this, Patricia's going to start with her presentation on climate and energy security in relation to Brexit. Then Mark's going to have his presentation. I have to say Mark is a senior researcher at the Institute of International Relations and also a coordinator of Center for European Security and is a specialist on Russian foreign security affairs. So we should have interesting discussion after that. Without further ado, Patricia, the floor is yours.
Let's see how it goes. Okay, so let's start with a small kind of introductory remark. Lina called in, she was like, oh, we need someone to come and talk about security. And I'm like, okay, I'm working on energy and so on, and energy security too. But I figured out, like, instead of doing kind of hardcore, lots of numbers talks to you and so on, because we're going to see quite fun. I figured out, maybe it's easy to kind of, it's a bit less dramatic, and kind of look at it from kind of very global general perspective, but have 2 micro case studies when it comes to security. So I figured out 2 most interesting ones, from at least my perspective, would be crime and kind of security related to crime, and then energy security. And I know everyone is kind of like, is it? Oh, sorry, question B. Is it? Well, yes. So, other topics actually related to each other. Interestingly enough, when you're actually working with energy and environment, security and crime aspects are extremely vital elements of the whole process. So we have things like environmental crimes, including trafficking of endangered species, dumping of trash, and elements like that. But when it comes to energy, it's even more important, related to the aspects of energy grids and cyber hacking of the systems. So it's kind of, interestingly enough, like randomly selected, they do have lots in common. Another element, which is going to be quite crucial, it's going to come up in both discussions. There is an issue about borders and localization of the UK in the kind of geographical perspective. So without further ado, what I'm going to talk about, I'm actually bringing a very unusual perspective to the table. It's a perspective of like effects on Britain, but from the point of view of someone who is actually not British. So kind of bringing in like by the British politicians. So it's kind of ironic. British experts work on it, British politicians went to the European Union, to Brussels, to set it up, and they're not going to be there to close up the deal. Closing the European market also has additional side effects. A lot of British companies are actually challenging environmental and energy regulation introduced by the European Union. And when everyone says like, oh, we can just remain and copy-paste the situation and all the regulation as it is now. Yes, but it opens the options for the local energy companies to kind of re-establish a new documentation, new rules, which unfortunately also means they're not going to be very friendly towards environmental protection. So it kind of have a very unique side effect. And then finally, one other thing, something which is going on with regards to energy security discussions and so on. So on one side, we have EU's bloc, after Brexit, 27 countries. We have China, Russia, and the US as the main players when it comes to discussions on energy and so on. And then we have the UK. So we have those gigantic setups with really huge, China and Russia having extremely huge market, especially Russia being as a source of lots of energy sources. And then on the other side, we have tiny UK to negotiate. They don't really have chips to negotiate because they're geographically bound to the fact they're like part of the European structure and what to do next. So it's kind of, the idea was to bring you into the presentation with kind of giving more to think rather than giving clear answers, but it's kind of thought-provoking, hopefully, to kind of show you like, instead of just going for, oh, I have a perfect solution, there's no perfect solution. There's a lot of questions and a lot of uncertainty, which is very popular but there are options, and either of the sides, it's possible, and eventually there will be positive effect if enough energy is put into it. So that's it.
Thank you, Patricia. Great time. I'm sure there's loads of questions, but please keep your questions for now, and I will ask Mark to his presentation.
Thanks very much. I have no nice PowerPoint. I mean, I have a T-shirt. That's the best I can offer you. Okay. I am going to talk about the more conventional sides of security, military, intelligence, and law enforcement. And really, I'll start with one key point, which is that unlike so many aspects the negotiations for this fatuous folly that is Brexit, in security terms, Britain is actually in a relatively strong position. Britain actually punches well above its weight in terms of these regular understandings of security. And that is, one could say, on one level, a good thing for Britain, obviously. But at the same time, it actually carries with it some perverse problems and perverse challenges that I will come to in a minute. So let's start with the military dimension. And as befits a post-imperial country, Britain has the capacity still now, even despite years of declining defence spending, it does have the capacity to deploy force around the world. It is a surprisingly strong military force. Obviously, it has a nuclear capacity, which in European terms only France also has. But beyond that, it actually still has a strong emphasis on deployability. Britain spends more than any other European country on its military. It spends, I would forget the numbers, and I have to write them down, 48 billion euros on defence spending. The next largest is France with 39, and then Germany with 35. So it's a disproportionately large spend. Its forces are not as large, certainly as France's. It has about 154,000 troops. Britain has. France has more than 200,000. Germany has 178,000 or so. But the key difference is in deployable forces. Almost half Britain's armed forces are actually deployable land forces. In other words, the guys with guns will actually go out, whether it's in terms of defending NATO's eastern flank, or being deployed to bring security into a trouble spot. About 74,000 deployable land forces in Britain. France has 70,000 and Germany has 50,000. And it's not just that. What Britain brings to the table in the European terms is not just the people who go out and do these operations, but actually the sort of wide support capacity. Now, I warn you, I'm now going to dip briefly into military nerd speak. So I apologise, but it's important to understand why defence capacity is not purely about money spent or number of soldiers in your military. What Britain has is a long-term commitment to extend out of area operations. In other words, operations away from the UK to the EU. Yeah, so the capacity going beyond, because let's bear in mind this interesting duality within Europe. There is the European Union and there is NATO. is ripping apart a whole series of understandings and balances that actually work really quite effectively for a long time. But I don't have a further editorialising on that. I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Mark, for an excellent presentation. So, as everyone did in the past, I will also misuse my powers as moderator and ask the first two questions, and after that I suggest we take rounds of 3 questions and let the speakers reply. Some of us at Metropolitan University of Prague are quite interested in military interventionism. I was wondering, and I think it kind of very well connects with what Mark was saying about how Brits don't mind fighting and the capabilities they have. How do you think that Brexit will influence the European Union peace operation, and what can we expect in relation to UK military interventionism? Will we see more of a unilateralist approach, or rather strengthening of the UK's engagement with NATO or particularly United Nations missions? That would be my first question. My second question relates to counterterrorism. We've seen quite a lot of attacks lately, both in Britain and continental Europe. What do you think are the best challenges, are the biggest challenges in relation to Brexit and counter-terror cooperation? And how would you advise, and I know this is a very hard question, but how would you advise to face those challenges in order to create a safer Europe and safer Britain?
Thanks. Well, look, I mean, again, because Britain exactly is in a position to play a disproportionate role
There are more than 20 terrorist groups, and NATO is basically there to fight these groups. And it's ironical to ignore the drug problem because it's the main financial backup of the terrorists. And what basically NATO, or more specifically Brits troops, are doing in Helmand, because the insurgency has risen significantly and the drug is rising every day. And they are interconnected, it just doesn't make sense.
One more from me. I'd like to ask both of you from your own perspectives, energy and security, if you feel Brexit is inevitable, or if there's a crisis in one of these areas, could Brexit be postponed or abandoned?
I wanted to thank you both and ask a question about a hot topic, the terrorist attacks, and ask you what you meant about UK being stable in security terms. I understood that you were talking about deployable troops, but maybe there was some other aspect to that. And I also wanted to ask about bilateral agreements, because in the light of latest London attack, it was actually, there was some information that Ireland has set on. One of the terrorists was a resident of Dublin and he was on the watch list, but somehow this information was not passed on to British authorities. So my question is, what would be, I know that it is a bit of a speculation again, but what do you see as a solution, as a possible solution? Thank you.
Thank you.
There were many, oh my god. Yeah, I wanted to ask, the UK is stable in security terms. What did you mean by that? Not just the deployable troops, but maybe some other aspects of it?
Okay, well, go back to Afghanistan. Things like organisations like the Taliban and so forth, absolutely, they're funded on drug profits. They are not actually the drug dealers, warlords, processors, and so forth. They tax it. In effect, they tax the primary form of economic activity that is taking place in Afghanistan, certainly the primary export market. The only way we can deal with that, given that to a large extent people need to be involved in raising opium popping for their own economic reasons, we've tried all kinds of different ways of giving them alternative means of livelihoods. It doesn't work. If we really wanted to crack down on drug dealing, we would basically have to bring forces up to Soviet levels. We're doing 100 to 150,000 troops. I don't see many countries queuing up to say, please, please, can we send 10,000 combat troops into Afghanistan? I mean, this is the problem. One could ask all kinds of questions as to why anyone sends troops into Afghanistan ever since Alexander the Great broke his teeth there. But nonetheless, we're stuck there. But if actually you want to wipe out the drug trade, you need to have a minimum deployment of 150,000 troops. So that's something to keep out there.
There was actually until 2014 more than 100,000 troops in Afghanistan.
Not combat troops, though. Again, I think, if we're talking about, we're actually talking about full deployment and also the kind of operations that the Soviets had. I mean, we took that major additional deployment, and at the moment the problem is keeping troops there, not expanding them. Inevitability of Brexit.
thanks to the organisers, wide-ranging and comprehensive look at Brexit. I will understand, especially in this hot afternoon, if you just frankly had enough of Brexit. And I'm going to try my best to keep you interested in it by talking about that nebulous subject, culture. I basically am a social and cultural historian. I write books and make documentaries about all aspects of British social and cultural life over the last 100 years or so. When I was invited here, I assumed that Gerald had read my first book, which was on national identity in Britain, from 1940 to 2000. But in fact, I was actually delighted that actually the one that got me invited was my most recent one, The History of British Youth Culture. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And you might think, well, that bears less relation to our subject than the history of national identity, but I'm going to try and show how important it is. Not least because, if we can have the first slide, you will see, and I'm sure you've already been told, there is a huge generational gap in terms of who voted for Brexit and who voted for Remain. Therefore, youth culture and identity is relevant to this debate. But before I do that, I'm going to talk about British identity. To try and explain this generation gap, we need to look at the differences between the British national identity of older Brits and the national identity of younger Brits. So we start by looking at the ways in which traditional British identities still have a grip, a hold on and appeal to older Brits. I want to start by making, the first point really is that British support for the European Union from the start in the early 1970s was always more pragmatic and less idealistic than for other member states. It was always based more on what the European Union could do for the British standard of living than on ideas of Europeanness. And one way, I think, to understand Brexit, as I defer in terms of economics to my friend expert Brian over here, so I'm not going to get into economics here. But I think where I would link cultural economics is I think that because British membership was pragmatic, it was economic, how can we get the German standard of living in tired old post-imperial Britain? Therefore, British support for the European Union depended largely on the economic health and the efficiency of the European Union. And I think therefore you can partly explain Brexit by the economic crash of 2008 in America and the ripple effect that had around the world. I personally think, I don't know what Brian thinks on it, but I personally think if the referendum had been held in a boom time rather than a bust time that we're slowly recovering from, I think the vote might have gone the other way. We would have but my main point is therefore British membership was almost more pragmatic. In my first book on national identity, when I was researching it, I just looked at the minutes of the British Cabinet in 1971 when they were preparing the British people for the negotiations that led to our entry in 1973. And the Prime Minister, Edward Heath, the Conservative who took us into Europe in 1973, agreed with his Cabinet that the basis of the propaganda, and they did use the word propaganda campaign, to persuade Brits to sign up for the European Union, the basis should be, and I quote, cheaper German beer and cheaper sunny holidays in Spain. And I remember reading this in our National Archive and thinking, wow, sometimes our politicians really get Brits. Maybe the elite are not that far removed. Cheaper beer and sunny holidays. But of course the problem is, as I said, that kind of appeal was more dependent on the economic health of the European Union. So let's look at national identity, traditional national identities. First of all, empire. Mark Galliotti mentioned earlier on in his talk on security that Britain is a post-imperial country like most European countries, but I think more than some, it older Brits have clung on to their imperial identity. Now that doesn't mean that if you're over 60, you want to invade parts of Africa and go around planting the British flag. What I mean is that the survival of an imperial identity in a post-imperial Britain leads to a lot more status anxiety. And why is that? Well, first of all, I think, to be fair, Britain had more to lose by joining the EU. Britain, after all, did have the biggest European empire. So one of the ways we can explain why Britain didn't sign up to this thing that began in 1950 and didn't actually sign up to, didn't join it for 23 years, is because the biggest colonial power had the most to lose. Size matters, basically. I'm just going to read to you from two things. First of all, the famous quote from the American Secretary of State, William Aitchison, in 1957, who are often quoted by our politicians and journalists: Britain has lost an empire and not yet found a role. Britain has lost an empire and not yet found a role. In other words, after the Suez Crisis of 1956, which Britain was forced to withdraw from Egypt, which exposed the fact that America had replaced us as the capitalist superpower, the American Secretary of State says Britain has lost an empire but not yet found a role. In other words, we're in a twilight zone between that colonial power, economic, political, military power, and a future that was then undecided. Now, for some of our political elite, on the left and the right, they decided that our post-imperial future should lie in, let's face it, what is a club for post-imperial powers of various kinds. Others in our political elite and among our voters have felt that the European Union is not the role that Dean Aitchison was suggesting we should have. Now, therefore, to understand what's happened, I do think we partly have to go back between this tension between how do we maintain our status in the post-imperial world? Is it in Europe or is it out into the world, as Brexiteers often said? Let me just read to you from one of the senior British diplomats who was involved in Britain's negotiations to join the European Union between 1971 and 73. And he said this, he explained the British attitude. Britain had won the war, the Continentals had not. Those who fought Britain were wicked. Those who had not, were incompetent. For otherwise they would not have been defeated. We know who he's talking about. For a great and victorious power to abandon its world role, its leadership of the empire, and its favoured position with the United States, in order to throw in its lot with a bombed-out rabble south of the Channel seemed to the British unthinkable. That was Britain's lead negotiator, an economist, in 1971. He knew that they had to sell cheaper German beer and cheaper holidays in sunny Spain because there was still this imperial identity that the British people, that meant the British people could not see themselves as European. Now, the other reason which he mentioned was the war. It's a point often made, it's worth making again. Britain was the only country that was not invaded and occupied. And Jean Monnet, one of the European Union's founders, wrote in his memoirs that this was key to understanding why the British people weren't emotionally attached to the European Union. They had, these are my words now, I think a certain sense of arrogant superiority towards the rest of Europe, that we haven't been invaded and occupied, we're the only combatant nation not to be invaded and occupied. Actually, the truth is what we call the Channel Islands between England and France were occupied, and people collaborated with the Nazis in places like Jersey as much as anywhere else, but we don't know. Awkward bit of our history. So I would say, so here's John Monnet. He said Britain had not been conquered and therefore she felt no need to exorcise her past. Britain had not been conquered, so she felt no need to exorcise her past. Monet had it right there. So we've got empire, an obsession with empire, an obsession with war, and I think many in Britain are still nostalgic for the days when we were the greatest imperial power in Europe, and for them I think Brexit offers a return to the superpower status of the early 20th century. Here's a statistic for you. I apologize, I haven't got them on my slides. So, in a recent poll, around 2/3, over 60% of British people thought the British Empire was a good thing for everyone. I wish they'd done that poll in India and Jamaica and Nigeria. I'm speaking as a historian here, a social scientist. I mean, it would have been fascinating. And I think we've seen some interesting levels of support in places like India, among the current Indian elite. If you travel to former colonial countries, it always strikes me how many, and I've lost count of that, I've had conversations with, post-colonial elites in Africa and Asia who, before I could start apologising for the empire, they said, oh, you shouldn't have left. I've had conversations, with economists and politicians and media people, surely that as well. Or at least, you shouldn't have left so early. Too quickly. Okay. Now then, Scotland. I don't know if I missed a discussion of Scotland earlier in the conference, but anyway. Scotland, why is Scotland more pro-European, pro-Europe than England? Can we have the next slide, thanks? A map that very clearly shows, you can see there, England voted by 53 to 40% to leave, and Scotland voted by 62% to 38% to remain. Scotland is a more pro-European Union country than England. Why is this? Well, I think it goes back to the end of empire. The empire was the main reason why the Scots signed the Treaty of Union with England and Wales in 1707. They wanted a piece of the colonial pie. And I think to understand that map, again, you have to go back to the 1950s. Scotland, a country of 6 million compared to about 50 million in England, was more dependent on the empire to be a prosperous power. And the Scots were represented all over the empire, just completely out of proportion to their population. So when the empire goes in the 1950s and 60s, in a sense the Scots lost more of their wealth and their status than their bigger, richer neighbour in England. And I think that partly explains that map. The Scots have not clung to this imperial identity in the way the English have, because they lost more from the end of that empire. I think the other reason is down to the very clever politics of the Scottish National Party, who have rewritten British history. If you read some Scottish nationalist propaganda, they present Scotland as the last colony of England, rather than as England's first colonial partner. It's a very clever rewriting of history. Nationalist movements need a sense of victimhood, and that's what they've got. We colonised them. They actually used the film Braveheart in one of their election campaigns, and as my father pointed out, any party that uses a film about a medieval Scottish nationalist made by an Australian anti-Semite with an alcohol problem cannot be good for British politics. I'm quoting my father there. A wise man. Okay. And if you want to get a sense of so the other point is that the SNP have also successfully presented independence for Scotland within the European Union as a better alternative union to that with England. The problem the Scottish nationalists always had before the European Union was, how do we pay for it? We might not like the English, the empire's gone, so what's the point? And we might not like the English, but can we survive? Can little Scotland survive in a global economy? The European Union enabled the Scottish Nationalist Party to say, don't worry, we can end our union with England and join another union in Europe, and that's been also part of their strategy. To give you, I can put some statistics on this. The decline in British identity in Scotland, which has been tracked by a politics department in Scotland brilliantly since the 1970s. It's the most accurate data we have. And they found that by the time the Queen opened the new Scottish Parliament in 1999, Tony Blair's attempt to say, don't leave, we respect you, have a parliament, don't leave us. By the time the Queen opened the Scottish Parliament in 1999, the percentage of Scots who said that they were Scottish rather than British had fallen from around, had risen. The number of Scots who said, I am Scottish, not British, had risen from around 30% to about 70% since the 1970s. That is an erosion of British identity. It's happened faster in Scotland than in England. And quickly, very quickly talk about the monarchy, another pillar of traditional British identity. In theory, it's a European institution, of course, the British monarchy. Last week, Brian and I had a chat about this. Last week, I think, was the 100th anniversary of the British royal family changing their name from a German one to an English one. In 1917, during the First World War, the current Queen's grandfather, George V, the surname was Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. They were the products, thanks to Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria, as you may know, established this European royal dynasty. Practically all her children and grandchildren were married to royal families around Europe. Hence the name, and she of course was herself German originally. But in 1917, at the height of anti-German feeling, the royal family decided to change their name to from Saxe-Coburg-Gotha to the reassuringly English Windsor. Which is kind of ironic because the Windsor Castle, one of the Queen's favourite homes just outside London, was actually built the last time the French successfully invaded it, so I don't think they quite thought that one through, but anyway. It sounds more English. So you may think then that the monarchy is a European, this dynastic network of redundant royal families is a European institution, but that's not how it works in British identity. The monarchy is at the apex of this imperial British identity. So monarchism, and although the monarchy is less popular in Scotland, it still props up Britishers, which is why the Scottish National Party say they'll keep the monarchy in the event of independence. So Protestant empire has gone, Protestant Christianity has gone. Britain is one of the most secular countries on earth now. Over a third of Britons are atheists, compared to about 5% of Americans. The majority population of Christian heritage rarely go to church. Less than 10% of the population go to church. And as I said, over 30% are atheists. We have Charles Darwin on our banknotes, which always freaks my American colleagues and students out when I wave a £10 note and they say, look, instead of in God we trust, we have Charles Darwin. So my students from Boston University, I mean, they're pretty smart people, but they're like, what? And I said, here's the thing that'll freak you out. We don't care. There'd be another civil war probably if you took Darwin with a dollar bill, but that's another story. So it's ironic, I think, that at the moment the Protestant Reformation is once more being debated about in terms of Brexit. There are some conservative historians who compared Brexit to the Lutheran break from Rome in the 16th century in Scotland and England. And this is not just historians comparing Brexit with the Protestant Reformation. I can tell you a businessman I know who trades in agricultural feed. He buys it cheap from Romania and Bulgaria and ships it to the farmers of Britain. And he said, as we were having a drink just after Brexit, if we could tell the Pope to, then Italian Brussels is easy. That's just a barroom conversation. So in other words, and it's ironic, therefore, that the Democratic Unionist Party of Northern Ireland, which is now propping up Theresa May's government, is the only party in the United Kingdom that still believes the European Union is a Popish plot. And in fact, actually, as late as the early 60s, politicians openly reassured British people that the European Union was not a Catholic plot, right up until the early 60s, before secularisation. So in major speeches, politicians left and right, when Britain made its first application in 1962 that was vetoed by the French, politicians said, it's not a Catholic plot, don't worry, it tells you how different things were then. Right, let's go back to youth. So these residual identities of empire, the Second World War, religion, hold more appeal for older Britons than young ones. But there are other ways of explaining this generation gap. Younger Brits tend to have more liberal attitudes to immigration and diversity and to the free movement of people. And as you know, the issue of immigration was exploited very cleverly by the Brexit campaign. It's been said by many commentators left and right that it ended up being a referendum on immigration. And that was it, that, people's anxieties about immigration and diversity were exploited by the campaign. Young people tend to have more liberal attitudes to those issues. That's one way of explaining it. Of course, immigration from Eastern Europe was not an issue from 1973, when Britain joined, to 2004. It's only with the expansion of the EU in 2004, and then you have the migration of millions of poorer Eastern Europeans moving to the richer North and Western Europe, that immigration from the EU becomes an issue. It just wasn't. I mean, if you said immigration from the EU from 73 to 2004, people would have said, oh, there's a few French bankers living in Kensington. I mean, there's no anxiety about Poles taking our jobs or whatever. So it's very recent anxiety in relation to the European Union. Why else are young people more anti-Brexit? I want here to talk, and I'm going to work towards a close. I'm very conscious of what I said to Max earlier on about not overrunning, and I'm now not practicing at all like British, so I'm careful he's going to start scouting at me. What a hypocrite. Anyway, pop culture. I want you to think about this in two ways. First of all, obviously, young people are more in touch with contemporary music, fashion, design, media. But that splits both ways in this sense. British pop culture emerges in the 1960s. Today's pop culture emerges in the 1960s as a unique amalgam, a hybrid, a fusion of, broadly speaking, American popular music, from jazz to soul, to rhythm and blues, and continental European fashion styles. Can I have the next slide? Here's a picture of Britain's first youth movement, which is the subject of this book that Gerald got in touch with me about. Mod, the youth culture out of which the Beatles came, which began in about 1959 and ran to about 1969 in various ways. It set the template for British youth culture, broadly speaking, American music, European fashion. EDM, why else is it important? Well, it does connect us to the rest of Europe. There's some very interesting data on why 75% of 18 to 24-year-old Brits voted Remain. Some of the interviews said, well, we get on an EasyJet flight to Berlin to go to an EDM club. We Airbnb with Germans, and we meet not just Germans, but Czechs and Dutch people and French people. And these are not the elites. These are young people of all social backgrounds taking advantage of cheap jet travel to jet around the party capitals of Europe. And there is interesting data. In other words, to some extent, my generation, but certainly with your generation, that Remain votes partly came from not a belief in the European Commission or the European Parliament, but a sense of Europeanness rooted in our popular culture. And that popular culture, British form of that popular culture is, as I said, still very lucrative. Our brands, global clothing brands like Fred Perry, Ben Sherman, Paul Smith, all rooted in British style of the 1960s, are global brands around the world. But my point is, it's not just about the economics, it's about a cultural European identity that was emerging in the digital EasyJet age among young Brits just as the vote was taking place. I'm going to quickly show you two brief interviews with two sets of young people. The first one is Remain, talking about an interview just after the vote last June.
I'm tired, I'm worried, and I'm upset. The lies and the scapegoating of the EU have finally won. And for what? A protest vote and the uncertainty of the UK's future.
We are Europeans. We're citizens of the world. We didn't vote to leave Europe, but were snatching it away from us. 16 and 17-year-olds weren't even asked. A 90-year-old has more of a say in the rest of our lives than we do. We weren't listened to, and you want to take away our future.
Why doesn't our future be influenced by a generation who can't see what they receive in benefits compared to the nostalgia they long for that can never be again?
More than 75% of young people vote to stay inside the EU. This has been the worst era for young people. From tripling tuition fees, from living in a recession, this has been the icing on the cake.
I'm scared that our society will become more and more dangerous for LGBT people like me.
Our mental health services are failing people because they're critically underfunded. The effect of this referendum on our economy will only worsen this.
I'm genuinely heartbroken by the entire thing. We're no longer a United Kingdom. We have a deeply divided country for a 24-year-old woman. I think that's really terrifying.
Today, young people like me have been sentenced to an uncertain future of division and isolation. I believe the future is more global and more local.
On a difficult day, 75% of 18 to 25-year-olds voted for compassion and progression. And these are our future leaders and our future voters. I am one of them, and I believe that the future is brighter than it might feel right now.
And now some interviews with young people who voted, the minority of your age group, who voted for Brexit.
Jacob, I'm 23 and I want to leave the EU.
I was sort of within the Remain bubble and didn't see it coming.
It wasn't just a decision I made off the cuff or following popular opinion. I thought long and hard about it.
People feel that this vote has legitimised their prejudice, and it's unfortunate that that has happened.
Voting to leave felt like giving for democracy.
I do not want decisions about my future that those I helped elect to translate be constantly overruled by EU red tape.
I think that by removing ourselves from the EU system of legal sort of control over the UK, we'll be able to have a stronger and more vibrant democracy.
I wanted to leave because as an industrial worker, I think our government needs to take back control of our energy policy, our taxation policy, and our immigration policy.
So I believe the decentralising of power is always a good thing. It's good for liberty, it's good for democracy.
It was choosing the freedom and the opportunity of the entire world.
Trying to put 28 nations in sort of a relatively tight union and expect them to all kind of flourish at once despite having different needs and priorities is misguided.
I wanted to leave so that we regain some democratic power.
If I faced backlash as a result of the way I voted, of course, but it will never stop stop me from standing up for what I believe is right.
Once I realised how the referendum had gone and that my side won, I made very sure not to gloat about it.
I never said Brexit was going to be easy. I always said it was going to be a serious and complex thing.
A lot of people make the decision on immigration, not all, but it's enough to cause trouble and it has disheartened me.
I know that lots of people on Union now are casting the vote as specifically a decision on the issue of immigration. For me, the political levels of it are not particularly troublesome. I don't mind if it goes up or if it goes down.
I want to end or come towards an ending on a happier note, which is that the thing with culture is it is not, as I'm sure you know, though it's affected by what politicians and economists do, the flow of culture flows freely in democracies, relatively freely, and it will go on flowing freely. Let me just remind you that that incredible pop culture renaissance that we had in Britain in the so-called swinging 60s, led by the Beatles, these young people calling themselves mobs, dressing in sharp Italian suits, riding Italian scooters, having German A-line dresses and German bobbed hairstyles, taking their style from Europe, and drinking cappuccino in coffee bars. Remember this, just after the war, these are people whose parents didn't, if they thought of Germany, they thought of Adolf Hitler, not Kraftwerk and techno. If they thought of Italy, they thought Mussolini, not cappuccino and suits. So this was a rebellion against the prejudices, understandable prejudices of their parents towards continental Europe. But this is an important point to remember. Yes, this pop culture renaissance, which was self-consciously European, British young people saying, we love American music, but we don't want to be fake copycat Americans, we are European too. And I'm going to show you that by riding an Italian scooter or drinking some Italian coffee. This happened when Britain was not in the European Union. And we need to remember that. Therefore, my point is that we have become more culturally European. It hasn't manifested itself in a political European identity, as it has in other EU countries, but we have become more culturally European. And we will go on, I believe, becoming more culturally European. Let me give you a few examples. It's not just about the young. Wine, for example, wine consumption doubled in the 1960s. It continued to rise ever since supermarkets started selling cheap wine. Wine was seen as the drink of the upper classes in Britain for centuries. Beer was the drink of working people. Since the 1960s, wine, mostly coming from Europe, has become part of mass consumption. More of us drink coffee now than tea, and the market research shows that Brits, if they're choosing to drink coffee rather than tea, they prefer to go to European chains like Cafe Nero than to Starbucks. Still, if you look at sales of what we call trainers, I don't know what you call them in the Czech Republic. Seekers, right. Oh, American word. That's the Americanization of the Czech Republic right there. If you look at the sales of sneakers, British and European youth, popular though Nike is, prefer Adidas. It's German. So these consumer our Europeanness is reflected in our consumer choices. So the British drink more wine and less beer. They drink more coffee and less tea. Food, here's a statistic for you. In the number of items in a British supermarket rose from only average number of items, rose from 4,000 in 1970, 4,000 in 1970, to an average now of 23,000 items in the same floor space. That's because things like garlic, which my grandmother, who remembered the Second World War, she regarded the only purpose of garlic was to ward off vampires. the idea of cooking with it was utterly alien. So food, drink. And where's this come from? Cheap, efficient jet travel. There is a surge in cheap, efficient jet travel in 1974, a year after we joined the EU. A lot of these changing patterns of consumption that have are signs that we've become more culturally European have been fueled by easy jet culture. And the Channel Tunnel, of course, has helped as well. Yeah, finish off, yeah, okay. So I'm going to end by, we've run out of time for the comedy, haven't we? Sadly, I was going to show you a famous British stand-up comedian making fun of after things. We do that as a kind of, yeah, okay. It's his take on the single currencies. Okay, so I'm going to finish by saying British support for the European Union was always more pragmatic, less idealistic than other member states, based more on what the European Union could do for our standard of living than on ideas of Europeanness. Therefore, all contingent on the EU being an economic success story. But we've become more culturally European, and we've acquired a firmer European identity to go with that. And whatever our politicians or economists decide, I can promise you all that our culture will remain open to Europe, and we, who make that culture, will still travel to Europe in search of a mutual embrace.
So thank you very much, Richard. Great. Really enjoyed that. And I think we'll immediately go to Patricia, who needs no introduction. And yeah, in every way. One of your points, Richard, was that culture will flow freely. And you were exactly going to pick up on that thread to an extent, Patricia. So over to you.
So basically, when I got the invitation, I was like, wait, I have actually better topic than energy security. Something which I really kind of like, I mean, love energy security, don't get me wrong, but there's something I work more, and actually Richard Berg inspired me to start looking on the topic. So things which I work now on predominantly are actually music and politics, and then viewed from different perspectives. So not only this aspect of like music in politics, so how music is explored through different venues by politicians, in using it, for example, election campaigns, how the music is explored, but also from the other side, so politics of music. So basically how music industry in general terms is actually influenced by what's going on in politics, what are the stakeholders there, and so on. So I kind of figured out like, well, I knew Richard was coming, so I was like, I'm not going to talk about the fun stuff. It's like, it's not going to happen. So I kind of figured out, okay, if we're talking Brexit, let's bring it into kind of nitty-gritty economic thought. So kind of not to ruin the culture, but to show that there are certain signs which kind of go in the direction, yeah, we have a chance to go again for like 1960s explosion and so on, cultural aspect and exchanges. But there are some limitations. So I'm kind of putting it in the context. I'm working on this creative industries as a part of the whole process. But I'm working on it, at least today, when presenting. Oh, can you actually hear me without it? That would be okay. I'm going to do it very popular. I have a tendency to walk around and so on.
The Adele.
The Adele. Sing it. But that allows me to be more like flexible. I can go more to the cloud. Okay, good. So I figured out I'm going to bring again circular economy to the topic, but kind of with a look at it from the perspective, look at 1960s, export of beaters all around, and is it still possible if Brexit happens? So kind of look at it like, okay, we're looking at the totally new setup, obviously, but let's look at it from very, very practical approach. So the question which I pose is like, who really going to be affected when it comes to Brexit and live music industry? So bear with me. First of all, I'm going to tell you a bit about UK live music and Europe. So who goes where and how much it actually brings to the whole process. Then, because it seems to be very popular, we talked about different scenarios. I have some too. So I have like a wonderful scandal Swiss scenario to consider. So there's options of like taking, for example, a situation now from Sweden and Norway, what potential British touring industry can expect. And then on the other one, kind of controversial, doing possible 51st state scenarios, so kind of looking at the American-Canadian approach, what's going on with the bands coming from there. So it's kind of, the general approach is going in the direction of, if we take, for example, American band, when they're coming to Europe, what's happening to them as a potential comparison to what's going to happen to British band trying to get to the European market. And then, on an optimistic note, the kind of catchy title of the last section on British Jigsaw. So, baby, what's there? What are we going to do with it? Sorry about that. So, based on the okay, so based on the music industry in numbers. Again, I kind of love the numbers from like 2014-15. Those are the best ones. But in the case of Britain and statistics on it, there is nothing available more recent because the main organization collecting the data produces a report usually with 2 years delay. So when we're looking at the UK music industry, so for now we focus on the whole industry, not just the live music. It brings around £4.1 billion a year. Ambitious, quite a big part of the economy. It does have a confirmed growth from previous years, and trends for now are showing that it is actually going still high up. So there will be larger income from it. And interestingly enough, comparing to other elements of the growth within the country, so other sectors of the industry, it's actually doing much better than the rest. And the most recent statistics shows that also 2015 and 16 the growth was also there. So no matter of the issues with Brexit negotiations, political situation, the industry is still going up, which is a positive development. Then if we, because that's the part which interests us the most, let's look at the economic export of the music industry. 2014, so 2.1 billion income from exporting music from the UK abroad. And that includes not only like CDs, vinyls, but also live music events, which like concerts happening, not only big festivals, but also bands touring, from British bands touring abroad. It has a confirmed increase of 17%. It dropped a bit for 2015 and 16, but it's still above, like in 2 digits, going above 10%. And interestingly enough, and that's where it kind of gets tricky, the most of that export, so around 70% of it, goes half to US and half to Europe. So it's very much of a market, very much related with the EU-UK relationship. Now, let's look at the nicest part. So the live music industry. It does have, on average, around 25,000 people engaged with it on a like permanent full-time basis. Which is a tricky calculation, trust me, because it doesn't go very straight, because it's very hard to find someone who does exactly typical 40 hours in the music industry. So it's a bit tricky. So that's why it's the FTE kind of estimate for that. Now, if you add on top of that, so the 25,000 includes festivals, organizers, promoters, agents, I have to remember all the very interesting people. Sound engineers, video engineers, all of them kind of being part of the process. If you also add musicians, that's almost 70,000 people being actually engaged in the whole process. So it's an extremely huge number, and it generates quite a lot of income. So when you look at it from the perspective of like, oh well, like music industry, quite a creative industries, they would really count it as something like huge on the whole arena. Well, shockingly, compared to the whole industry, maybe not that huge, but it is like a large number of people being engaged in the process, and the numbers are rising. Because, especially the older generation, getting more professional, they're getting more engaged, they get more training, and there is large investment in that particular respect. Okay, let's go for it. Now, additional information, that one counting more for you. So when we're talking about audience, statistics saying around the number of 27.7 million people in 2015 in UK alone attending live events. That counts usually gigs and venues of over 100 people, all the way up to largest festivals like Glastonbury and Super. 38% of that group are actually so-called music tourists. So people coming from abroad, so flying from Czech Republic using internet and so on, coming to Britain, and they all together generate £3.7 billion in direct and indirect spending. So not only buying tickets, but also renting the hotels, getting the transportation fixed, and all this kind of stuff. So, to now, very briefly, the idea was to tell them that, well, there is a value of Europe to British live music industry because of exports, touring industry, and so on. But it also goes the other way around. So, value of British live music from Europe because of the historical reasons. So now, kind of Brexit question. Brexit happens, and then what? What's happening with that particular sector? So I figured out I'm going to very briefly, I'm trying to do it very briefly, focus on the touring musicians and stuff. So something which, on your side, kind of be like, oh, well, I'm not necessarily a musician, is it really affecting me? It's all about those situations when there is a British band coming to Czech Republic and doing performance and so on. And when in some cases, especially smaller bands, you've not necessarily heard about it. But it's also about Adele going to Czech Republic. So it's kind of this magnitude, I would say, that can be used. Okay. Sorry. I'm trying to do lots of tests. Okay. So, a very creative naming of the different scenarios, kind of screenplay. So first of all, not much kind of with the music itself. We already heard quite a lot about those, so I'm not going to repeat. So we have the Switzerland with special types of agreements, character for freedoms. There are some elements which we already mentioned and discussed, so I'm not repeating. Similar situation with Norway, with a special type of European Economic Region membership, also with some limitations, and I'm going to talk about those in a second. But two very important factors to be remembered in those two case scenarios. For both countries, EU is the largest trading partner. So when we compare it to the UK, and we bring in the statistics, I already told you the exports from the UK, 70% of those exports, so equally shared to US and Europe. So it's not that large as it is in Norway and Sweden, but it's still quite big. And then, interestingly, and kind of remembering what we had to now, it's all really about privileges and obligations. So on one side, from each of those two countries, there are some options like, okay, we have special type of agreement, we do actually get something from it. But there are also some obligations and kind of red tape on the other side. Now we're coming to the nicer part. So what does it really mean for touring industry, all those mysterious agreements and negotiations and so on? So, imagine the situation when, for example, British band survive the time when Brexit is there. There's no clear deal, but it's based possibly on the hypothetical situation with bilateral agreements as Switzerland has. So what do they face when they go on a tour? First of all, a very simple thing, a Swiss motorway vignette. Okay, everyone has to do it anyway, 40 francs. Okay, we can put it on the group budget and so on, so it's not too dramatic. But there are also additional things like ATA covenant, which basically is temporary export document when the band has to list all the types of equipment they take with them. They have to make sure that the same equipment is on the way out. And basic organization of that document can take 24 hours, it's all easy and fine. In special expedited version, it takes 1 hour, and minimum cost is usually £200. At the moment, UK touring crews are actually exempted from that document, so they don't have to worry about it. Reason balance. How many do you know actually? Don't worry, that's a typical question. In Britain, people kind of go, maybe some hardcore metal, some. But the tricky part is, Norwegian bands do not tour in Europe because it's not worth it for them. The money which they get from the tours is so small because of the relatively strong currency that when it comes to actually having income from a tour, it's not useful for them. So in that case, there's a very big dependency on relatively stable pound and seeing what's going to happen, how it's going to affect. Now the problem is, pound is actually dependent very much on politics, there are jobs and so on. And we had already registered a 15% fall directly after referendum, kind of build up slowly. But it's an interesting aspect in that sense. Okay. Try my best. The last scenario. So don't go too far. Okay, so I know it's provocatively called possible 51st state, something like this, but it's not really meant like one, but it's kind of going to refer to American Canadian solution. So we already know from all the previous presentations, the agreements both with Canada and with the US, they are based on bilateral agreements, negotiations. We talked very briefly about the Canadian Free Trade Agreement, so I'm not going to come back to that one. Although, there's a little start. It did not include services, so no life music performance regulations there. In comparison, Transatlantic Trade Investment Partnership, so the huge negotiation going on, started in 2006, includes creative sectors to a certain degree. But we are in 2017 and it's not yet concluded. So we're kind of ending up in the situation, okay, for now, when it comes to American and Canadian bonds, we don't really know what's going to happen exactly with them in the Brexit situation. What is there for now is so-called visa entry regime, which, interesting enough, is kind of, well, I'm trying to make it very positive, but it depends from the country in the European Union. So in case of, for example, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Canadian and American banks, they have so-called free visa stay involving paid activity. So they can just come in, perform the concert, get paid for it, and then go out. It is a bit of red tape, but it's allowable. Visa also has a certain fee. Again, it's still doable. But if you take Spain, France, Italy, Austria, and Czech Republic, the visa-free entry does not include the work permit, and it has to be separate before the work permit is required. So there's additional documentation in order to actually perform in any of these countries. Now, obvious assumption there's tons of paperwork, but as with any kind of visa of this kind, there are some really very annoying kind of requirements. First of all, proof of beneficial economic impact. It's a creative industry. What's going to be their contribution to economic impact? Second of all, confirmation of employment. So a promoter from a venue in, for example, Czech Republic has to write official document, fill in some forms stating, yes, the band is invited, they're going to be paid a certain amount of money. All fine for Adele, because everyone wants to invite her. But what about the bands which are just starting and they haven't built up yet? They kind of fan base and so on. And then another requirement is availability of resources and income. So they have to be invited, but they also have to have enough money to finance their tour. Which of the bands is going to have it when they're just like the start? So it's usually kind of very limited amount of money. So to kind of summarize that particular slide, and I have just one more, so that's very good. Most affected, smaller bands, the ones which are just starting, which oddly enough are actually quite huge experts when it comes to music. So we don't know what would be with Beatles maybe at maybe, so if we had similar situation. And then it's all kind of putting an effort on the European promoters on the other side, so the people who are responsible to prepare the invites. And sometimes, trust me, they're not very happy to prepare tons of documents in order to get a very tiny, small British band to come in. Also, kind of side note on that one, one of the nicest companies, European promoters, is actually based in Prague. So we have actually quite a nice area on that one. Okay, so kind of summing up. Through the whole presentation, it comes up to a number of elements. A lot of uncertainty, so what's going to happen with scenario it's going to be, but it's kind of reoccurring routine. Tons of red tape coming in, no matter the solution. Depends depends on the stage of negotiations, so how far we're going to go. Is access to single European market required? Not if, for example, a visa with payable performance option is implemented. So we kind of have this what-if question. So what if we have the hard Brexit, fully abandoning four freedoms and single European market? It's going to have extreme ripple effect on the live music industry. So that's kind of my hardcore summary, like, you know, we have a cultural background and so on, and I kind of put it in terms of economy again, so not to kind of makes me depressed or something. That's it.
Patricia, thank you very much. And Richard, again, thank you very much to you too. You see an empty chair. We have an empty chair crisis here in this room. Mr. Kalash is on the way. He's just become a very important man today, or an even more important man today in the Czech government. So he's on his way. What I propose we do is have a Q&A based on these two papers. So already Brian would like to ask. So we have a mic.
Well, first, absolutely excellent talks and enjoyed them mostly with a bit of humour in as well. A couple of things for both of you. One kind of point actually on Richard's talk reinforced it about the Scottish sense of identity that were actually a first colony. They actually had a colony themselves in South America which went bankrupt. Almost bankrupt in the Scottish government, and there were frantic negotiations by people in the government of Scotland, one guy from Boston stay to discuss the possibility of being bailed out by England. And remember at this time there were the crowns were united from 1603, not by the kingdom. And then an interesting thing again in the respect of what I was talking about the common currency yesterday. Another frantic discussion there, which is in Adam Smith, is how the Scots pound would go to the English pound. And there was another feeling that they went in the wrong way, so they were weak. And that lasted, the effects of that lasted a long time in terms of Scottish industry. Apart from what Scotland could then export were people going around the world, doing their share of killing people from other countries and so on. And this joke was a poster that was at the university to join the British Army, visits interesting countries, eat interesting food, meet interesting people, and kill them. The other thing is, it's really important of you. It strikes me that this, I mean, I would regard the culture, possibly you don't, but there's another cultural industry which has been, will be dramatically affected, people are really talking about it. And that is football. The football has been affected very, very strongly by the Bosman rule in 1995, which has meant that the Premier League and even the Championship have gone from teams where people call lobbying more old-fashioned haircuts to a world league in a sense. And of course this has generated lots of economic activity in transfer payments. I mean, think about the number of foreign coaches that are foreign players. Obviously, my team itself is successful as a Spanish coach. But there's another element where it links into another industry, which is television broadcasting, which also went hand in hand with football. And again, the 1989 Transfrontier Directive, which allowed prevented any member state from blocking a broadcast from another member state, is another massive implication for football. So again, I mean, I've not seen much in the press going on, but I'm surprised people are not actually looking at the impact on that. I mean, it's not as obvious as a creative industry in terms of it has the lovies, which possibly music and so on has, but it is to be the cultural industry, and it is enormous, and it's been growing far faster than GDP, and I think it needs to be studied. That's all.
And Matt, and also Vera, so if you Good, Hans.
Thank you very much. Thank you both of you for very interesting presentations. I will have two smaller comments and then one question for Richard. We'll start with just adding up on this information about our third speaker for this panel, Alish Miller. Which again shows that we have very good timing for this conference. Of course, we managed to put the beginning of course to the day of opening of the negotiations on Brexit. And now it seems that the third speaker of this panel is being named the new State Secretary for European Union Affairs of the Czech Republic today. So he's on a press conference, allegedly, and hopefully he will manage to come here. We will see what happens. But it's quite a valid excuse, I have to admit. So now to my comment. Richard, regarding how specific the British case would be. You mentioned at the end here that looking more at what the country can get out of the European Union than the other way around. Well, I wonder if it would be different in any other EU member state. I myself, from my native country, is a country where the Prime Minister decided to announce the idea of applying for EU membership during a press conference on austerity measures during an economic crisis. And it was not even the first point on the agenda, so he started going, we will reduce pensions, we will make cuts in the healthcare session, and then as point 9, well, we will apply for EU membership. So I'm just saying, maybe this is a more general thing, that is just a comment here. And that's my question to you, is when you talked about it, I get the impression that you are mentioning from two perspectives. One would be a change of the national identity, which is ongoing over time, moving away from post-imperial identities to something new. But on the other hand, I have the impression that at the same time talking about generation differences, which might reproduce themselves. That is a question that you might have different preferences, ideas, values when you're 20 compared to when you're 40, 60. So just if you could clarify which would be the more important of these two dimensions. Okay, thank you.
Final one, Vera.
Thank you both, and I wanted to go back to the imperial identity, and I wanted to ask both of you if you would agree that there is some hypocrisy to the way that the Brits see the EU as the oppressor that pushes red tape and rules onto them while being nostalgic for the empire.
Richard, I'll let you go first, please, if you like.
Matt, I hope I've got your question right here. I think that I did talk about what British youth culture drew from Europe from the 1960s onwards to create this populist cosmopolitanism, which is, I like to remember that because too often in this debate it's like, oh, populism, which is nationalism, bad. And then cosmopolitanism, so actually what this was a populist cosmopolitanism. But I think I begin to answer your question by saying British youth drew from all these different European cultures. I would add, we talked about IKEA. I mean, this sense of being a modern European, you want to decorate your home differently to your parents. That played on that generation. But we also, and this is to directly address your question, we drew on European culture to create this cosmopolitanism from the 1960s onwards, but we also sold it back to the world. As I said, these brands that are associated, it's interesting actually, brands that are particularly associated with 60s British pop culture trade more successfully than any others around the world, in Europe and Asia. So there's something about that period. So it was drawing from Europe, but also selling back to it. And I think I'm an optimist, and I think it's as I said, culture flows freely, and I think it will continue to be a cross-fertilization. But we must remember that in all of us in relation to America is still the dominant cultural power, whether you're Czech or British or Swedish. So there is a cultural imbalance of power. And I personally think that's why we need to maintain our cultural links with Europe. I'm not being anti-American, but I also don't want my country to be the 51st state culturally or any other way. And I think That's important. But I would just reiterate as well the point I made, which I think some people on the left forget when they talk about, they talk as if these cultural relationships aren't going to continue post-Brexit. And I always say, as I said in the talk, that what happened in the 60s happened before we joined the EU. So it should be able to continue after the EU. When David Bowie goes to Berlin in 1977 and lives there for 5 years and produces 3 great works of art while living in East Berlin, actually, in 77, he did that because he was an EU citizen and he could live and work freely anywhere in the EU. So the EU sure as hell helped David Bowie produce those albums. But I'm pretty sure that if, please God, another David Bowie emerges in Britain in the next few years, that he or she would still be able to go and live and work in Berlin. They'd have a bit more, few visas visa forms to fill in. But I don't think anyone, the future David Bowies, are not going to say, oh, that online form is it's a bit boring. Nah, I'm not going to go. I know, but I don't think so. I'm an optimist. Does that? I'm not sure I've really answered your question, Matt. Sorry.
If I was trying to clarify, when you started by the huge differences in how different age groups.
Oh, sorry.
So the question is, yes, because you talked then about the post-imperial heritage and different views of different generations on this national identity. So my question was more, is this actually a difference which is then linked to how the national identity might change over time? Or is it rather linked to that at a certain age in your life you would have different priorities, values being linked to the youth culture which can change over time?
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot to answer. It's an excellent question, and I think it is partly to do with the eternal generation gap. I mean, if you look at the studies of whether people are more likely to be liberal or conservative, it shows a quite clear pattern that people do become more conservative as they get older. And your point in relation to what I was talking about, I mean, let's not forget, a lot of those people in their 50s, 60s and 70s who voted overwhelmingly for Brexit lived through the swinging 60s. So where did their belief in a liberal cosmopolitan post-imperial identity go? However, there is also data that suggests a clear shift, a development of a post-imperial identity from the 90s onwards. There was a poll done at the height of Britpop, and the height of the Spice Girls and Oasis and all of that in the mid-90s. Commissioned by the Sunday Times, which people are asked, 18 to 24-year-olds and 95 are asked, what's the source of your patriotism? And things like the monarchy, not surprisingly the church, and politicians, were pretty way down the list. And what they said was, my favourite groups, football as well, and you're quite right to mention that. It is, of course, culture, and I think we'll continue. I mean, can I just... I'll finish that, and then I'll try and address this. I'm trying to do too much at once. So my answer is, you're absolutely right, Max. I think it's partly an eternal generation gap, but I would say there is also data that suggests from the mid-90s onwards, beginning with my generation, continuing with your generation, there has been a development of this cosmopolitan post-imperial identity that is more engaged with Europe than those baby boomers who were once into the Beatles. It's a bit of both. And kind of very quickly, what you said about football, Brian, I think one way to celebrate the European Union, if I dare say that, is that we had, I think, in the British Premier League, before the Bosman ruling of 94, 95, I think there was around 30 foreign players, and there are now over 200. And that was an EU ruling against our football association which set limits on foreign players.
The PFA and the Players' Union was particularly unhappy, as they would be, about the increase in the number of foreign players coming into the English leagues.
Coming in. So I have a few comments actually. The point about regulation of
So it's this part of the kind of, in a way, state intervention in the process and so on. Interesting enough, when it comes to the music and British music industry, don't kill me, but it's official based on research. And actually, the state intervention in that particular case is actually seen very positively, in the sense that extremely lots of venues across Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, but also going kind of further on Newcastle, for the smaller events up to like 600 people, they're actually financed from the state and from EU regional fund. So it's kind of bringing in two things at once. There is a state intervention in the process, which is quite supported by the European Union in that particular case. So, and there are effects of that particular approach. So it's similar as regulation of television broadcasting. Financing venues like that spikes bands to actually come in and play, because they can invite more people who are not even about payments, but like, if you have a venue, the electricity bill, trust me, is quite big. So it has to be really interesting band, otherwise it's not going to get a crowd coming in and so on. But sometimes it's a band, which is just at the beginning, but they're already amazing. But in order to kind of sustain this kind of venues, there's lots of money necessary. And the funding comes from the state in support of the creative industries. So that's kind of a positive effect of that. Now, very interesting part about the hypocrisy and what can we say about like the UK coming into the Brexit thing. The problem is we discussed, and I'm kind of shifting now to the music and politics part, which I don't. So we discussed before this kind of post-imperial feeling and so on. Well, and when it comes to music, there is a way of actually having this music imperial feeling, because we had, like in UK in the 1960s, the whole export process and so on. And it seems to be continuing, so that all the statistics shows that the majority of the kind of export music circulating across Europe, it's either US or British-based bands. So while they are national performance and they're absolutely wonderful, and you see them all over the place, it's actually still about imperial music in a way. So interesting enough, it's something which cannot be simply overlooked in that aspect. So I think I probably ought to know.
Vera, did we take on your question directly?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, can I just spoke? It was about the hypocrisy. Yeah.
Well, I would agree. I mean, there was a great meme on social media. I could be quite cynical about something that, you know, if young Brits had actually got out, you know, to vote Remain instead of just posting clever memes on social media, we wouldn't be in the Brexit situation right here. But anyway, no, I think there's, you're quite right. One of these memes said it was making your point about the British voting. Large numbers of the British voting for Brexit because of anxiety about immigration, and this is a country that until quite recently ruled about a quarter of the Earth's surface and a fifth of its population. And for us, there is a lot of hypocrisy in terms of the British moaning about immigration. And this is voluntary immigration, not colonial migration. There's a great Eddie Izzard sketch, the comedian Eddie Izzard, in which he sums up the British Empire with basically a man going around the world saying, "Do you have a flag? No, do you have ours?" So I totally agree with what I want to say. But quickly response to your point, I think you're absolutely right that there is a strangely imperial dimension to that post-imperial flag waving. I mean, you know, when from the Who to Oasis, putting the Union Jack on their drum kits. I've been in class where British DJs have the flag draped over their decks. You don't tend to see that in other countries. But I would say that is, I refer you back to the survey that I mentioned just now, Max, that it's, I think it's about different sources of patriotism. Although there are echoes clearly of, do you have a flag? Your band can have ours.
So we can open again for some more questions. Yeah.
Hello. Thank you as well. I really enjoyed your talks. Do you think there's a chance that there could be, like, maybe a bit of a drifting away on Europe's part? It could go the other way, like a backlash. Maybe in some way combined with what's happening in the US with the, walking peacock in the White House. There might be some feeling of being let down by decisions and things like that, and maybe then Europe will kind of start drifting away, so it happens the other way around.
That's nice. Yeah. Anyone else? Well, that was a big question, so let's chew that one over.
I think that's also an excellent point, and I think it kind of corresponds with what Matt said earlier on. I think, yes, I suppose there was an arrogant assumption, I'm not sure why I'm saying that, that Europe's just waiting for us to continue culturally engaging with you. How lucky you are. That's not what I meant. No, I think you're right. I hesitate to use the results of the Eurovision Song Contest as any barometer of culture and civilization, but actually, if you look at the vote that British pop groups get, it has significantly lowered since the Eastern European countries came past and started voting. We used to do much better when we were only competing with the French, Germans and Italians. I don't know if that tells you anything. But seriously, I think you're absolutely right. I think this cultural engagement has got to be, post-Brexit, on the basis of Brits saying, we love your stuff, can we riff on some of it? And once we've riffed on it, would you like some of our stuff back? Rather than, what? You haven't seen Bastille, or you haven't seen, or whoever, and what backward, folkish people you are on the continent. It has to be on the basis of, I use that word again, cultural flows. So you're absolutely right. I think there may be a cultural backlash which Brits will do well to remember when they're cutting music deals or fashion deals or whatever it is, film. Yeah, absolutely.
Not the easiest question coming from live music industry, but there's one good example as a kind of more positive interactions and so on. So I'm not sure if you're all familiar how typical kind of concert works out, but basically the larger band, like the main lineup for the concert for the evening comes in. Usually before then there are 2 or 3 groups playing and kind of warming up the crowd and so on. Before the trend, so kind of looking back towards the beginning of 2000s, it was usually a huge British band bringing in a few smaller ones and kind of warming up. Crowd was done by the British band, and then the main one comes in. At the moment, the interaction is actually going in a much more positive way, while the British band, being the main lineup, actually signs in contracts with bands from the continental Europe. So the warm-up and kind of promotion for those bands, those are like Czech bands, German bands, very popular ones, and they come in as a kind of warm-up, building up their own kind of interactions. So it's kind of, there is a positive link which is kind of going in a good direction. So there is a possibility of culture exchange. On that kind of, it's a very positive note, because the British band very often brings the 2 or 3 ones which kind of were before them during the lineup, during the concerts in Europe, they bring them back with them to UK. And then there's this cultural exchange, because British-based musical tourists who still go to Berlin and other countries, but sometimes when they kind of have occasions to hear their own, they go for their own bands on the kind of crowd level in Britain, they actually have a chance to see Czech bands, Italian bands, which are extremely popular in UK now. So there is this culture exchange already appearing, so there are positive signs. I'm not so sure yet how far we went with it yet, but it's going there.
Great, thank you. Do you want to add? Do you want comedy? Do you want some comedy? Yes, I think so.
Before that, I was just going to say something you told me has been a bit
We were talking over a fantastic Czech beer yesterday about the export of 60s British pop culture. And you said there's a video on YouTube of the Moody Blues playing on Charles Bridge, which I've never seen. I've never seen this. I think this is about 65, you said. I have no musical talent whatsoever. I will not be part of any future cultural exchange in that respect, I can assure you.
Continuer cette émission touristico-musicale, et ce qui m'a frappé de Prague, cette jeune ville de Prague, c'est le mélange très intime de style gothique et de style baroque. Et en ce moment même, nous sommes sur le très très vieux pont Charles, où nous rencontrons les Moody Blues, bien connus des téléspectateurs de France. Je vais traduire pour les Allemands. Liebe Freunde, wir sind gerade auf der sehr alten, sehr schönen Karlsbrücke. Hier treffen wir unsere Gäste aus England, die Moody Blues. Who is your spokesman, Moody Blues? Right is. Well, how do you depict your style, the musical style?
Well, it's still good, but the way it's progressing now is getting very classical.
Bon, alors les Moody Blues sont toujours de la piste de la pop musique anglaise, mais avec une influence croissante de musique classique dans les arrangements. Die Moody Blues spielen zwar Beat- und Popmusik, aber mit einem sehr deutlichen klassischen Einfluss im Arrangement. And what are you going to play with for us today?
This is another which Justin wrote for us.
Alors une composition de Justin, c'est lui, le compositeur, c'est un compositeur des Allemands. Wie heißt dieser Nom?
This one's called Dancing White Satin.
Oh, alors ça c'est très connu de tous les amateurs de rythme en France, und in Deutschland ist dieser Titel auch sehr bekannt. Night in White Satin. Here we go, Moody Blues. White satin, never reaching the end. Letters I've written, never being.
Just let them fade out now. I don't think that was live, was it? No, it wasn't really live. Thank you very much. That was a fade out, wasn't it? So we're very happy to have our speaker. He was fresh from a press conference. Right, okay, this is Alish Khalansh, who is currently head of EU strategy and trends unit at the Czech government. And he's going to talk, I think, more about national citizenship and the implications of Brexit for Czech-British relations. I'm going to hand it over straight away to you, Mr. Khalansh.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here. So, as you said, I'm just coming fresh from a press conference. So, from today to from a couple of hours ago, and State Secretary for EU Affairs, and of course in charge of the negotiations of Brexit. Before I was a director in the same section and the Brexit related section also in my department. So I'm usually well aware of let's say, the details of the negotiations, especially in the part concerning rights of citizens or rights of EU citizens in the UK. So firstly, let me just make a small general context for the debate. As you probably know, the issue of free movement of labour during the UK referendum campaign was one of the most salient, most visible for especially some de-industrialized parts of the UK. It was, in my view, one of the reasons why we saw this fall. We saw over 50%. But, of course, it was not the only reason, but I do consider it actually one of the major reasons. And therefore, it is freedom of movement of labour within the EU is also one of the reasons why Theresa May has opted for a hard Brexit, because in within the single market, she would not be able to control the migration flows, we don't call migration within the EU, but we would not be able to control free movement of labor, and she would somehow have to say that one of the main prerogatives of the EU, as she portrayed it, could not be actually fulfilled. Therefore, we actually saw the debate on the rights of citizens in the UK, EU citizens in the UK, as one of the most major topics during the referendum debate. It was also one of the reasons actually which pushed Britain towards the hard Brexit strategy. Therefore, it is a crucial right, it is a crucial thing, and a negotiation topic for the moment. And we hope, not just from the Czech position, because there is no specific Czech position, we have a common EU position, that this issue will be dealt with until roughly October or November, when the European Council will assess the progress made so far and say whether there is a substantial progress in terms of negotiating the chapters that were open in relationship with the past relationship with the UK. Together with the financial settlement, the rights of citizens is actually one of two major, most problematic chapters that we have to deal with in October and November. To talk a little bit more in detail what issues are on the table. Unfortunately or not, for those that do not live in Britain at the moment or will not be moving in a couple of months, probably who are not in Britain now as EU citizens, residents of the UK, I have the unfortunate message that most probably their rights will be held or will be considered, if they're not British of course, will be considered as third country citizens. Therefore, whoever comes after a date that has not been yet negotiated will be treated as a third party citizen. Whoever came before a certain date that we have not yet negotiated will or should, and we really hope would be guaranteed the rights of citizens on the equal keel as the British ones. So not that we would have some special prerogatives as new citizens living in the UK, but that it will be actually kept. And what I'm saying about EU citizens in the UK, because this is the position from which we are negotiating, it of course applies for UK citizens in the EU. So the main issue is, for the time being, to what extent all, not just rights of let's say, access to the labour market in terms of social rights, but also very complex issues such as insurance, social insurance, health insurance, and pension system that has to be somehow settled roughly until this October, November. And all these issues, as to be said, will most probably deal with only citizens that are already in the UK. If you're a third party, if you're from the Czech Republic or from continental Europe, you come to the UK, you will probably be treated after Brexit as any other non-EU citizen. This is the most likely scenario. It is still possible that we will negotiate the endpoint of this period to March 2019, where is the official legal date of the UK, or most probable date when the actual Brexit happens. It is, in my view, most likely that it will be associated with the last 28th or 29th of March 2017, which was the ratification by the Article 50 of the treaty, when whoever came before would be guaranteed the same rights, and whoever came afterwards will not be guaranteed those rights and will be treated as a third party citizen. This is the most likely outcome, but we will see. But we actually will not be most probably able to influence at all, and we will not be most probably, we will see, part of the deal is probably the future rights of EU citizens in the UK. There could be some special treatment for EU citizens in the UK, but for the time being there's no concrete free trade agreement or an agreement that would include this topic, and most probably actually the UK will be kept free to determine the rights of third country citizens as an national law. So, I mean, just this general picture, I mean, I could go a little more in detail in terms of what we negotiate right now, but I'm not certain what is sensible or not. Just for you to, so I will not talk about the details. means most probably all the issues are actually well known. But there are some chapters that remain to be closed. There are a lot of issues that are of pure technical nature. But I hope that they give you a general enough picture actually for you to know that unless you're already in the UK, residents of the UK, or actually UK citizens, there's not much that will help you in this process. But thank you for coming.
Okay, so thank you very much for setting the agenda for us and giving us that summary. We're very grateful for you for this. I'm going to straight away open this to the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Alex, for this introduction to the question and the position of the negotiations right now on the, one of the most important issues, that of the rights of citizens on both sides. Can I ask a question regarding the negotiations, which will be slightly broader? I know that the Czech Republic does not have its own specific position, it is a part of the EU position, but if I put that question, would there be some other main concerns of the Czech Republic regarding the negotiations? And if you could elaborate on that. And a second question would be, being close to the negotiations as you are now, what do you think about the time frame? Are you optimistic from your perspective about the possibilities, how feasible it is to actually reach ideal within the time that is to the disposition for this? Thank you.
Thank you. So, thank you for these broader questions, because the topic is really larger. Maybe I'm more acquainted with the big picture, as the social chapter or the citizens chapter is actually dealt with by the Minister of Interior and by the Minister of Labour. So it is a very specific debate, let's say. But about the broader priorities that can guide, that differ state from state, member state from member state. What is clear is that the free movement of labour is actually a priority of, naturally, of countries that have large communities in the UK. For the Czech Republic, it is a question of principle more as of a pragmatic need. The Czech community in the UK is not as large, but we know that free movement of labour is actually a very strong tool of convergence if it works properly. Some aspects of, for example, the systematic brain drain are not actually taking over. But we do see it as a tool of convergence and actually limiting the potential of cooperation between the UK and Europe. So we are this is our major priority, the rights of citizens in the UK, EU citizens in the UK. But let's say it is not the first one, we don't have a number of priorities. The second one is actually just a financial settlement in the UK. As you probably know, the UK is a net payer into the EU budget, and therefore there will be funds missing in a way, except as others, in the EU budget. It is quite a significant